Real talk, your butt goes through it. Chafing, itching, mystery rashes, a wild night, or just too many damn squats. That's where anything but comes in. It's like chapstick for your butthole, loaded with all organic aloe, vitamin E, arnica, and virgin hemp seed oil. All the things that say, shh, it's okay, baby, I got you. So give your butt the same energy that you give your face. Heal, soothe, and whether it's hemorrhoids or any other kind of butthole drama, keep that peach happy. Go to anythingbrands.com and use code DEAREVERYONE for a little something off because your butt deserves a little love too. What up, nerds, MILFs, and DILFs? It's your favorite host, me, Victoria Masters, aka V So Spicy, and we're back here for another episode of Dear Everyone. And today I brought on a guest that you guys, if you haven't heard of her or her story yet, then you are going to be sad. You are going to want to hear the whole episode because, baby, this is going to be a wild ride. If you've ever been curious on what it's like for those people who are married to people in prison, babe, this one is for you. Today's guest is Miss Claire, and we say what, the prison Barbie. And we're going to bring her on and ask her everything you guys have honestly wanted to know. Those questions that you really wanted to see what was up with it. So give a warm welcome and shout out to Claire Raybon.
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 All phone calls are subject to monitoring and recording.
Baby.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. Okay. So when I came across your profile, we had briefly met. I didn't even realize we met. But then I remembered, oh, yeah, there was this Barbie bitch that walked into the club. And, yeah, like, how could I forget?
Oh,
right?
my gosh.
Gorgeous. And
Don't flatter me.
But the thing was, like, here at Dear Everyone, it's all about the stories that are a little more taboo. The ones that we have questions to that nobody actually answers or asks those types of questions. So I had to have you on. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I've always been the black sheep of some group somewhere. So I'm excited to be here, adding to the community.
Yes, yes. The tea, you put the tea in community.
The tea is hot, too.
The tea is hot. So let's talk about it. Like, start off with the fact of why we call you the prison Barbie.
So I guess we'll start with, like, the shooting, right? Like, how I became this prison wife, how I became part of the prison community, I guess. In October of 2023, an attempt was made on my husband's life. He was shot 3 times in the back in his own home. And because the people responsible for it are claiming self-defense, my husband is sitting in jail. My husband does have a little lengthy history. We love a little thuggerella, but we love that he just likes to be the best at everything. So his collection of mugshots is kind of extensive, but that's hot.
He's hot, so it
dangerous.
helps.
Oh, he's like a thugged out Justin Bieber.
But it doesn't help when it comes to him being the victim.
Correct.
Right.
So, and I've said from the beginning, my husband is not a good victim. He's big and tattooed, and of course has the history that he does. It just doesn't make for as good of a story as a little unassuming, mousy girl who, likes to say that she's the victim of
But he was in
everything
his
life.
own house, you said?
In his own house.
Which is crazy because if you look up any news articles about it, it does not say that. It does not mention
So the news stories that are out there about my husband's case are extremely skewed. It's actually something we've looked into about slander, but of course a lot of the press is protected because they're just taking one side of the story and running with it. And unfortunately, the side of the story that they ran with is a very false narrative told from one person's perspective. And yeah, that's kind of how we got to the news stories being what they are.
And how did that feel? Like seeing the news kind of take that. And I actually had, with my ex-husband, have a little bit of a similar story as far as the news like manipulating things when he got stabbed in a jail.
Yeah.
And seeing like all the comments and seeing all these things. And I was like, this isn't even the story. Like this is
Right.
like taking one small part and sensationalizing it. And as like a person who does
marketing and things like that.
Right,
Like, I get
spin.
it, but also, like, this is real
Mhm.
life. Like,
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating because actually, after all of this happened, the press spun my husband in such a negative connotation. I mean, I read things that he was, methed out of his mind, like he went in there shooting on a killing rampage, all kinds of stuff. That, of course, me being there and knowing the reality of the situation, I was like, wow, this is just so crazy that they can write this without any kind of repercussions after the fact. But it was very frustrating because I had to hide. People were coming after me. Of course, at the time, we were, on Facebook together, marked in a relationship and all kinds of stuff. We weren't by any means private about our lives. Um, but essentially, people started, wanting to know more about the situation and just being nosy. My husband grew up in a very small town, and within a single week, and I had over 400 friend requests, all from Walker, Louisiana, just people, of course, who had no idea who I was, or I didn't know them either, but, had maybe known Jake growing up or whatever the case may have been. But just everybody looking for information. So for about a year, Jake had me delete his social media profiles, and then I ended up having to delete mine. So we actually dropped off for a while. We dropped out the public scene just like to let things settle down.
what made you want to get back online?
So it was after a certain court date, actually, that, happens in Baton Rouge. Um, I just realized that it had been long enough with only one narrative out there with, the person responsible's kind of story was the only one that anybody knew. And it got to a point where she had accused me of things in open court. I later hit her with a cease and desist order. So, I don't fuck around like that. Like, you're not going to play with me. I'm not the one.
Ooh.
But essentially, I was like, you know what? This is enough. Like, enough is enough. It's time for our side of the story to be out there.
Yeah, and I think what's really unique about this is that a lot, like your story specifically, is that a lot of prison wives find each other in prison, but you guys were already together when he became incarcerated.
Yes. So I did, since getting back on social medias, I got hooked up with this prison wife support group. It's called Love Within Walls. It is such just like a strong, really supportive community of women whose boyfriends, fiancés, husbands are incarcerated, for all different kinds of things and for all different lengths of time. But it's just really nice because it's such a specific situation. Like, nobody really knows how that feels until you're in it. And it's very stigmatized, obviously. There's a really negative connotation around being with people who are in prison for whatever reason. And most of the women in there, I think, are what they call MWI, which is they met while their loved one was incarcerated. And I am one of the few MBIs, so we met before incarceration.
Nice.
So
Like AD. What is it? Like
AD and BC.
yeah, like before Christ, after
I'm
Domino.
joking.
I have a question from the audience.
It's now CE.
It's now CE,
Yeah,
which
like
means
BCE and CE.
What
which
does that
is
mean?
the E.
You know,
You know,
this would be a good time for me to Google something.
ChatGPT. Not that you've made this seem glamorous, because it doesn't seem fun at all, but you yourself are very glamorous, so it's hard not to,
Thank you.
you know, glamorize that. But like, let's be so for real. The questions everybody have, specifically for you, not even so much for your husband, is like, are you stupid or are you dumb? Like, why choose to get married to someone incarcerated when you don't have to? Like, you didn't have to. You weren't already married.
Oh, not at all. We were not married whatsoever. And I might be a little dumb and stupid. I mean, I might be a little bit of both. But
That's real.
you
'Cause
know,
same.
period, that part. But I mean, my husband and I originally met in 2014. He had just turned 21 years old. I was 19. He was fully a menace to society at the time. So thank God we ended up not dating at the time, because I probably would hate him right
Yeah.
now if we had. But essentially, we had talked back then. We met at Fred's in
Baton Rouge.
yeah, in Tigerland, which is just so quintessential. So we had met back then and we kind of lost touch. Jake thinks it's because he probably got arrested and,
Oh, yeah.
lost the phone number and lost his Snapchat or whatever. And that's fine because obviously like my life went a different way and so did his. And then in 2022 we got hooked up on a blind date by a coworker of mine and we just kind of like put it together after that. But when we like really started full on dating, which was in April of 2023, from our first date, we were just like inseparable. We had that first date, and I was kind of intimidated. Not that I'm ever really intimidated, especially not by a man.
Period. Yeah.
But I think I was intimidated just because he was so different than anybody I had been with before. And he like unloaded his entire life on me. Like within like the first hour of us hanging out, right? So he like told me about all the prison time and he told me about, a baby mamas and like just all the mess, right? That like sometimes people are like kind of slow to get to because they kind of want
I
to.
actually love that though.
Oh, I loved it.
Like to me, it's like even a mess, but if it's the truth and it's your truth and you own your
Yep.
truth and you own your past, to me, I'd rather know so I can make the decision if I want to move forward or not.
Exactly. And one thing about my husband, he's not lying about not shit.
So if the media really made a mess and the ex, because obviously her story is what got him arrested
Totally.
for that, because he was, I guess, on probation when all
He
that
was on
happened.
parole still
Parole,
from
okay.
an old charge. He was still on paper.
Okay, so
So-
if that's the case, then how long at that point when y'all got together for like the time y'all were actually together, how long had he been a good boy then?
So he got out of prison in November of 2021. So November of 2021, he came home after his last little stint, and he was doing good. He's involved in the church. He's working for his dad's company. He's kind of running the day to day for him as a project manager. He's doing what he needs to do, and him and the ex weren't together for a very long time at all. But the situation with that is it was always, if you want your kids, you have to be with me. So in an attempt to be a part of his children's lives, he had to, kind of deal with the rules that were being set with that. So he tolerated her in order to, see his kids. And then, of course, that doesn't work because that's not how you get somebody to stay with you, by manipulating and controlling them.
But he wasn't doing that while y'all were together?
Oh, no, 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 no.
Okay.
So that was, he came home in November of 2021. I think they got back together like spring of 2022. But then like they were off again in summer of 2022 because that's when we got set up on a blind date. And then my husband, again, very honest. He let me know must have been around November of 2022. He was like, "Hey, look, I just want to be straight up and honest," which I respected so much because a lot of guys would just ghost and
Right.
not say anything. But he said, he texted me one day and he was like, "Look, I just want to let you know I think I'm gonna give it another try with my baby mama because she has my kids." He explained everything to me. And I
Yeah.
get it because I've been married previously and I have a child with my ex-husband. And, I was so respectful and I said, I totally get it because I too tried one too many times with my ex. And, you have to try until you know that it's dead.
Right.
So, we left on very cordial terms. And I said, I hope everything works out. Like, I hope you get your kid. Like, of course, at that point, we were talking and we were friends. And, I liked him genuinely. So I said, best wishes. And we kind of went our separate ways. So that was in November of 2022. January of 2023, he proposed to that girl.
Interesting.
She had always proposed the situation of the kids can't have your last name until I do.
Okay.
Which again, gross, manipulative, desperate, giving yucky.
Giving Manipulative for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving narcissistic for sure. But so he proposed to her within 2 months. They were done again, and he messaged me on Facebook and was like, "I'm single again."
Yeah, he's like, I tried it. I
Yeah.
tried for my family.
Yeah.
It's still not there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, and like some things are just not going to be there because they were never there, right?
Right.
Especially when you're in a situation where somebody, gets pregnant on purpose to have somebody stay.
Yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango.
It does.
Like,
No, like you
if
don't
you're
get
a d-
pregnant by yourself,
Right.
but of course, the oldest child came right after high school. So let's be honest, what 18-year-old boy is going to double check that you've taken birth control?
Yeah.
But
it is what it is.
it is what
Yeah.
it is. But essentially, March of 2023, he messaged me on Facebook saying that he was single again and he wanted to take me out. And April of 2023, we went on our first date and we were just
Inseparable. after that.
I mean, together pretty much every second of every day since then.
So what do you say? Like, you have kids.
I have an 8-year-old daughter named Mackenzie with my ex-husband.
How do you explain to your daughter then, like, hey, you got a stepdaddy, but he's in prison?
So, with her being the age that she is, she does not know he's in prison, which is not always the easiest thing to like hide just because it is so odd. At the time that Jake and I were dating before all of this happened, I had Mackenzie most of the time. I introduced Mackenzie and Jake to each other, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months in, just because, like, at that point it was hard to separate them because I was either with one or the other. And then we were moving in together. So I was like, this is going to happen. So I had to introduce them. And they just hit it off so wonderfully. Like, I could not have prayed for anything to go better. But I loved the relationship that they had because obviously at the time, my husband didn't have access to his own children. And
So you could see that in his eyes that he was like really.
well, he's such a naturally good dad. Like, he really is. And it's just like a part of who he is and his soul. And I knew he was struggling not seeing his kids, and that really destroyed him.
Well, I mean, that's obvious because that's why he kept trying.
Oh,
to
of
get back with
course.
the
And the
ex,
first
for
time I
sure.
ever saw him cry was on Father's Day when the ex, very just spitefully for no reason, said, no, you're not going to see him today.
So you said y'all were living together. So when he went to prison, y'all were, or
Yeah.
so how was it at his? So it was at your house too then?
No. So what happened was Jake and I had gotten this house out here in New Orleans, and he's from out in Baton Rouge. So that's where he was living previously. When we were dating, since he had left his house, so he let his ex and kids stay in the house that him and his dad owned because the kids' schools was right there in the neighborhood.
Right.
So he really did her a favor. He was just trying to be a decent person.
Because it was for the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So he let her stay in that house, and he went and moved with his stepdad out in Darrow, Louisiana, which is like this little podunk town. But so he went out there.
Shout out to Darrow.
Shout out Darrow, the D, the dirty D. But essentially, he went and lived out there. So while we were dating, he was living in Darrow. And then when, things got more serious with us, we decided to get a place together. So we got a place out here in New Orleans, in Lakeview. And the whole reason he had even gone back to Baton Rouge was because in the haste of leaving, when everything was heated back in March or April or whatever, he left most of his stuff. And of course, a house full of furniture that he belonged to him. So after we got our house and we got settled, he was like, I want my stuff back.
Right.
My husband is one thing, he stands on principle, and he's like, I worked hard for that stuff and it's mine and I want it back. I did you a big enough favor by letting you stay in that house, and look, it's a nice house out there, He had redone it. He had completely remodeled the whole thing.
So that's what the argument was about?
Well, and it wasn't even an argument. So there had been previous arguments where he was like, let me get my stuff. And she was, no, fuck off. And then whatever. And so then he would go to his house because, of course, he had a key. It was his house. He would go over there and get, a couple boxes of stuff when she was at work or whatever, just to avoid her. And then it got to the point where once we had our house, he was like, I want my furniture.
Right.
We didn't have furniture. He was like, why am I going to buy new furniture when I have a house full of furniture?
And it's easy
Right.
for her to kind of hold that over his head. Like,
Of
oh, you
course.
enter in here, I'm calling the cops.
Of course.
I keep going back to the fact of like that you have a daughter and she doesn't know.
Let's be so for real. Shopping should feel fun, not like a chore. And that's what makes Tresco Boutique so special. They're all about cute, affordable looks that fit your real life. From easy staples to statement pieces that instantly make your outfit. They carry styles for every shape and mood, plus shoes and accessories to top it off. And the best part, it's more than just shopping. It's kind of like hanging out with your friends who hype you up and help you find exactly what works for you. So whether you're browsing online or popping into their amazing location in Slidell, Louisiana, Tresco Boutique is where you'll find your next favorite look. Check them out at tres-co.com. That's TRES-CO.com.
And like she's only going to continue to get older. Where does she think he's at? And then also like what do you think, like when do you think will be the right time?
As of right now, my daughter thinks that Jake is away at college.
How old is he?
Jake will be 32 tomorrow.
So Jake's in a dorm.
This truly speaks to the innocence of children. Of course, when all this happened, like we were living together and
Right. Then
he
you
was there,
weren't.
he was there every day. You know, she knew he worked in construction.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was like, Jake needs to go away, and I don't lie to my kids. Like, I'm not a liar. I really like value honesty highly. So I wasn't going to say anything. I just said, you know, he's not going to be around. And she ran with it. She said, "Oh, he's going to building college."
And you're like, yes.
And I was like, yeah, he's going to learn some things.
you know, because that low key works out.
It low key works, you know, and it is sad because she misses him. They had a really good relationship, and you know, she does ask when he's coming home, and
Like, damn, he doesn't get a break for like spring break. There's no like fall break. Like, this school sucks.
then she's like so enthralled. Oh, when my dad comes home, so she calls him dad.
Mhm.
That is not ever something I would force upon a child
Yeah.
to call anybody something specific because I think that's wrong. But you know, that's who he was to her, so that's what she calls him, and she's like, "Oh, when my dad comes home, like he's gonna build us a big white house," and she loves, you know, what she's kind of created in her mind is gonna happen when he
That's
comes
so
home.
funny.
So
When do you think is going to be a good time to tell her that?
I don't really know if there is ever going to be a good time because, of course, at the age she is now, you know, in their little minds, jail equals bad people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the person I dated previously was a cop.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No, me personally, as a person who is married to a cop, I totally see how the extremes can go.
yeah.
In fact, I lived that life as well, so
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, that was the worst life I've lived.
yeah, I
Worse
feel
than the
you.
prison life for sure.
Clock it.
So, but yeah, I don't know how I would explain to her. I think it might come about like if there's ever a situation where we are allowed visitation, like they miss each other. Like, is it
I'm
going to be?
surprised your ex doesn't tell her.
Yeah.
You know,
That's actually so like it's something that's come across my mind like a lot because
I respect it though.
my ex's favorite thing to do is hate me.
Yeah.
So like
They love to hate.
yeah, oh, they love
Yeah,
to hate,
especially a cop.
especially now that he has a new girlfriend and a new baby and all that mess.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's not the cop. That's the
Oh.
firefighter.
Oh, you're really stupid.
I am. I'm a dumb
A
bitch.
cop, a firefighter, and a prisoner.
I mean,
Babe.
an NFL player. I mean, I've survived.
So, like, outside of your daughter thinking he's in college, which is fucking hilarious, what about children? Like, does it suck that he's in prison for God knows how long since you don't know? Like, like, what do you do about that? You can't have kids with him while he's in jail.
So, Yeah, so we definitely want children together.
What?
I have I have had multiple pregnancy losses, unfortunately,
Oh,
since
I'm
this
sorry.
situation started. It's okay. Everything happens for a reason, but
But not with him?
yeah, with Jake.
How?
Yeah, so well the first
I'm
the
confused.
first one we actually did not know about. Ended up having a miscarriage shortly after the shooting.
Oh
The doctor very much
no.
thinks it was stress induced, which, like,
Duh.
for sure. I was also on birth control. I had the Nexplanon in my arm, which is crazy because, like, you should not get pregnant on that. But yeah, so I had a miscarriage early on. That was in October of 2023. And then we've gone about trying to have a baby. It's something we've talked about, prayed about, and of course, with both of us getting older, and we're not old by any means, but just getting older in terms of
But how does that work?
so there are a lot of different ways that people in prison try to have kids. It's very difficult for us since we don't have physical visits because like some people will just like sneak off to the little vending machines and pump one out real quick. Like I'm so serious. Like we'll have like a full on quickie like in
Yeah.
the visitation room. We don't have that luxury because I would totally do it. I would throw it back at a vending machine immediately. So what I have resorted to having to do is getting a court order for a sperm sample.
And you've done that already?
Yeah.
Oh no, but it didn't work.
No, my
So-
IUI did not work.
So you're gonna try again? Or it's a
So,
lot.
well, so the thing is like when you have situations like this that are very much dictated by a court system, there's no guarantee that like just because one judge signed it and said like, okay, you can do this, doesn't mean they'll do it again. So I have a very limited amount of usable sample.
Oh, you still have it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they save what they don't use. So essentially, what happened, this was like the funniest thing ever. He called me in the morning and he was like, "Are they coming?" And I was like, "Yes,
Are you coming
in that cup."
in the cup? This is crazy. I did not know this was
So
a thing.
essentially, what it was is,
Dear everyone, you can get a court ordered nut in a cup.
yep, nut in a cup straight out of the prison. Baby, go work yourself out. Um, but essentially, a medical courier like delivers a sample cup to the jail. They're like, service yourself. I'm on the phone for the phone sex servitude part of it. And then essentially the medical courier will bring the cup to the doctor's office
You are batshit
where
crazy.
I was waiting. And they did an IUI. And I mean, it's like the craziest thing.
When are you gonna try it again?
So
with
that's
that
the
sample?
thing. Y'all, last month I was totally convinced that it had worked because I was like,
Oh, this is
yeah.
recent.
Oh, yes, girl. Super recent.
You have his nut dripping out of you.
No, good Christ, no. Not anymore. But, yeah, I did for like a day or two, I guess.
Ah.
But, essentially last month I was like, let's just do it, right? Like, fuck it. If we kind of got to the point where we were like, with us both getting older, we both want kids together. Like, if they give him something like 8 years, like let's just say, worst case scenario happens and he has to serve 8 years. I'm 38. Who's having a baby at 38?
Right.
Probably not me. I don't think that's really my journey to be an old mom.
She said that's where she draws the line. Prison wife, no, that's fine.
Old mom.
Old mom, not happening.
Like, I just think it's my calling to be a young, hot mom and like.
I think you'll be an old hot mom then. Okay, well, best of luck. No, seriously, best of luck. I hope you guys. I'm amazed by
Yeah.
this story. That's
I mean,
incredible.
It's fun. That's why we decided to just go ahead and do it because like we figured that if we wait and biologically like our time runs out, we're giving way too much power to the situation.
Period. I need to see your astrology chart.
Oh my God, I'm an Aquarius.
An Aquarius. Okay, we got a two
A
Aquarius in
January.
here.
a January Aquarius.
No, but I need to see the whole chart because
Oh,
there's something in there that is pointing all these.
I think
things.
it's I think it's genetics truly because so I'm adopted.
Oh, you're adopted.
I was adopted at birth. I know my birth parents and then obviously my adopted parents who raised me. This is the funniest part. My biological parents, felons. My adopted parents, attorneys. Well, and my biological grandfather, like, killed a person and then he got killed.
Ooh.
So, like, that's how he got.
Yeah, one of my questions was going to be, do you have a history of violence or instability in your family tree?
Yeah, I do. Biological. Yeah, absolutely.
What do
I
your
do.
attorney parents think?
It's actually so funny because before all of this happened, my family is crazy on both sides, my biological family and the one that I was raised in. Very Italian, very, my mom is one of 10 kids and just it's a lot. So they tend to be very judgmental. They're very Catholic, like, all that judgmental mess. And so I liked Jake so much. And of course, knowing the honesty of the history, I was trying to preserve like our little bubble for as long as possible. So of course, my parents knew I was dating him and, they had seen him in passing, but like I kept the interaction at a minimum. So my dad came by our house when we moved in. And of course, Jake is like, okay, we moved in together. Like, I have to introduce myself to your father.
Right.
And so he came outside. Of course, we're in the middle of moving. My husband is shirtless, fully tattooed. And my dad's sitting in the car and he's just looking at the car like,
Well, he's probably like, my granddaughter lives
well,
here
he's
too.
just like, and my dad is very easygoing and he, Jake and him shake hands and, have like a short little interaction. And he was like, I honestly was just so distracted by the tattoos. I didn't know what to say or do. But my parents' interaction with him before all this was minimal
Yeah.
because,
You
I
try to keep it that way.
at the same time, my parents know I'm not an idiot and they know I love really, really hard. And I think so the first person who knew anything about the situation, my mom called me while I was sitting outside of the emergency room the day that Jake got shot. And she
She saw
called.
it on the news.
No, this was before it even aired on the news. I mean, this was before everything. She called me, and I, of course, picked up the phone, and I was just hollering. I was like, Jake got shot, and she's just, she's like bewildered on the other side of the phone. And she was just like, what? I was like, I don't really, at the time, I didn't know anything. So I was like, I don't know what's going on, but all I know is he got shot 3 times. Like, he's in the hospital. They won't let me see him. It was a terrible day. But, my mom was like, I'm praying. And they know that for me, I'm a very good judge of character. But they
Are you?
know. I mean, so historically in my dating life, I have probably given people too many chances.
Yeah.
Because I really do try to always see the best in people. Truly.
Which is a blessing. And
Maybe
a curse.
it is a blessing and a curse. Maybe too long, maybe too many chances for, the wrong people. But Jake was just so different from the beginning, the whole relationship. One big thing was like everybody I've ever been with has cheated on me, which like,
How dare you? Do you see me?
And like, if you saw the men who cheated, like I should have cheated on you first.
It'd be like that.
What the fuck? So
it do be like that.
So, like, my whole thing is like, I had never had anybody, and of course, I do not stick around after cheating. That ain't me. You don't have to tell me twice that you don't want me. But after the cheating, people always come back. They had always come back to me, always wanted to, try again, whatever. But it was only after they lost me that they realized my worth. And that was the huge thing. Jake, from day one, he told me on our first date, he was like, I'm going to marry you. And I was like, you're crazy. Stop.
But also, like,
you
could love by me because who wouldn't want to marry me?
He was so honest and he didn't have to lose me to see my worth. And that was like,
no, I 100% can see that. Like, So I was with a man after my divorce from my cop ex-husband who I fell so deeply in love with because he was honest. And coming from dishonesty to radical honesty, I got to choose if that was something I still wanted to go
Right.
forward with. I got to say, thank you for saying this is exactly where
Yeah.
you're at in life. This is exactly what you want. This is exactly who you've been with, who you still are with, whatever it is. And I get to choose, and I get to have my own like autonomy over my own body and
Yeah.
how I spend my time.
It's so huge.
It's freeing, you know what I mean? Because it's like, wow, you like really respect me enough to at least
Yes.
tell the truth and be willing that I might be willing to be walked
yeah,
away.
it's respect, loyalty. I mean, it's everything. My husband is just I mean, obviously, I think he's the most amazing person in this world, regardless of what you have done in the past. Like, I think that's stupid because I wouldn't want people judging me off the worst thing I ever did either.
Would you okay, out of the cheating though, would you like what type of bitch are you? Like do you cheat back or do you leave?
No, I leave. I
Boring.
absolutely leave because I'm not finna cheat back on somebody who ain't worth shit.
Period.
But I am finna go out decked out, and
And you're gonna see
I'm
it.
gonna make you suffer for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'm probably gonna go take pictures with the guy you was always worried about, but
Oh,
was
love
never
that.
a problem.
I love that.
I mean, like, I'll get under your skin for sure.
Right. I love that. I live for that. Okay. Well, with that being said, let's go with the rapid fire. Y'all ready for that? Rapid fire here at Dear Everyone is when we pretend like the house is on fire and you have 1 second to answer. So don't think into it. Just shoot it off. Be as honest as possible. You
Love-
ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3. What would you go to prison for?
Beating a bitch's ass.
Okay. Favorite musical artist of all time?
Kevin Gates.
Okay. Those two questions somehow make a lot of sense. Okay. Everything you've had done to you, your face and body.
Oh Lord! Now this can't be rapid fire because I've had so much shit.
Let's go,
done.
go. From the top to the
Boobs-
bottom.
Boobs by Dr. Jonathan Weiler in Baton Rouge. Shout out.
Shout out.
I have a face full of Botox fillers. I'm an aesthetic nurse, so anything that could be done, lasers, peels, microneedling, Botox fillers.
Okay.
That's all. No body work though, baby. This besides the titties, it's natural.
Ooh, period. Sour or savory?
Savory.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Biggest misconception people have about you?
That I'm dumb.
I was gonna say that you're a dumb bitch.
That I'm a dumb bitch. That I'm so stupid.
If you could sneak one thing past security at jail, what would it be?
Sneak past? Like, what do I want to bring in?
Yeah.
Me naked.
Period. Okay. Loud and proud or quiet and slick?
Loud. Proud, baby. Always.
Favorite Red Bull flavor?
This one, white peach. The pink one.
Yes. Name brand or who gives a fuck?
Name brand, bitch.
Tell us about conjugal visits.
They don't exist in Louisiana.
you,
It's
yeah.
sick. I have beautiful friends whose loved ones are locked up in places like New York and California where they get to go get locked in with their husbands for a weekend. I would sell a tit for,
Oh,
5 minutes.
One to actually like. I feel like you
I
could
also
get
just
that
think
in.
that's crazy considering the whole purpose is supposed to be rehabilitation.
Oh, Lord, don't get me started on that.
Right,
train.
because when you think about rehabilitation, to make someone more mentally well, because there's an aspect for most people in prison that is mentally unwell, then you would need that family support and things like that.
Well, and there are like real medical studies that show the more contact that inmates have with their loved ones, the less problems they cause you. Like the less fights, the less contraband they're trying to get in, the less drugs they do while they're incarcerated.
Period.
So you're causing more problems for yourself by not allowing any contact. And when I say no contact, like I don't get even visits where I get to go hold hands across a table.
When does he get out?
Don't know.
What do
We
you
don't
mean?
know anything.
Oh, because he hasn't been.
He's pretrial. So
Oh
he's,
my
he-
God.
that's the worst part. We have to abide by all these rules of genuinely guilty people, and he's not even been convicted of anything.
Mm.
He is just sitting
How long has he been in pretrial?
since October of 2023.
Jeez.
2 years.
Morning, noon, or night? What's your favorite time to hear from your mans?
Oh my God, my man calls me all the time.
Do y'all get to have phone sex?
Oh, all girl, somebody, whoever is monitoring those phone calls knows way too much about
Dude,
my body.
I literally
Oh,
forgot
Lord.
about phone sex until just now.
Oh, and it'll, I mean, it's like, it's all I have. So, like, I be rocking with it. I'm like in the car, wherever he hits me.
Okay, period.
Baby.
If you could be on any reality show, what would it be?
I don't know. Real Housewives of Angola.
Angola's a prison, if you didn't
Period.
know.
The Louisiana State Penitentiary.
All right. Well, that's all for us here. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and look directly into your camera and give a message to the world, starting with Dear Everyone.
Dear everyone, I hope y'all enjoyed the time as much as I did. And I just want to put out there that love conquers all. If you love somebody, stick with them. Loyalty is priceless.
If you loved this, you're really going to love the stuff that we didn't air. Uncut convos, spicy extras, my thoughts after the mic drops, all waiting for you over on our Patreon at patreon.com/V So Spicy. It's where the secrets live. See you inside.